Hello and welcome to the latest Ask Bish question. So here's the question. So my group of friends is about 50-50 mix of lads and lasses. When we all go out clubbing together, I normally pull a few lads per night. Occasionally I'll go home with some of the lads I pull as well. A couple of the lads in my friendship group have been calling me a slut, and obviously they just mean it as banter, but it's kind of peak and it makes me feel like maybe I'm a slut. I don't know whether the lads in my friendship group are right or not. And so I say, well, I don't think they're right. Slut is an insulting word used to stop women from doing what the fuck they like. It can be used in a way that is powerful and valuable, which I'll explain. However, it can also be used in a way that is, as you say, peak. So, slut versus stud. I'm imagining that you're a lass, but if you were a lad who pulled people at a club and occasionally took them home with you, what might you get called then? There's a big difference between what lads get called when they are sexually active or interested in sex and what women get called. Lads get status and lasses get stigma. Why is it not fair for women to be interested in sex when it's totally expected of men? In fact, if men aren't interested in sex, they get stigma too. It's a double standard, one rule for one gender and one rule for another, which means that it's sexist. In fact, it's well peak. And I don't think that people should use this word towards other people. You can say you're a slut if you want. Some words are used as insults can also be used in ways that are not insulting, but only by the people that the word was meant to insult. The word slut has been used by some people as a reclaimed word. It's been given a new meaning by people, often women but not only, who call themselves sluts in order to take power of the insult away and to give themselves power. Which means that some people might be able to hear the word used against them and respond with, "And? What's your point?" Often people don't mind being called a slut because they think there's nothing wrong with being a slut, i.e. someone who enjoys having sex. I, for one, don't think there's anything wrong in someone of any gender who enjoys having sex. You might have heard the term slut shaming, where this word is used against women to try to shame them into not having sex. You might also have heard of slut walks, where women came together to protest against the idea that women dressing in a slutty way makes them responsible for the sexual violence against them. However, like with all reclaimed words, a lot of people really don't feel comfortable doing that, and for many people the word is always going to be a negative one. As you say, peak. See also queer, crip, and the N-word. So the word slut is an insulting word which people shouldn't use unless they are using it as a positive word to describe themselves or a movement. These lads in your friendship group should not be using it to describe you, unless you have given them permission to do so. Leaving aside what people think of you, what do you think? It's totally okay to be doing what you're doing, so long as you're treating the lads you pull consensually, and if you're happy with it, then great, keep it up and have fun. You do you. As I said above, slut is a word used to stop women doing what they want. It's peak and I want it to stop. However, maybe you're asking me a question about this because you want to reflect on what you want from pulling, how you feel about you, what kinds of relationships you want, and what you want to get out of sex. Even very experienced and enthusiastic sexers have times where they want to stop and think about what's going on for them. Sometimes they might not be having the best sexy times, or maybe it's affecting their relationships, or maybe they're thinking about their sexual identity a bit more. It's okay to have regrets or meh feelings or just some thoughts about how you're feeling about things. Doesn't mean you have to stop or that you're wrong. For example, one of the things that you might find interesting to think about is what you're getting out of sex and how that relates to your sexuality. I've got an article about this at my website where it gets you to think about what it is that you're getting out of sex and whether that's something that you're wanting at the moment. You can get a link to that in the blog post version of this, which is I'll link to in the description for this video. Also, you might want to think about whether you're looking for a romantic or a sexual connection with these lads, or both. You might not be interested in romantic relationships at all and might just be interested in sex, or that it might be that you want a bit of sexual or romantic connection, but not for very long because other relationships are more important to you. But just to be clear, I'll say this again, this is all fine, and if you want to keep doing as you're doing, I definitely think you should. I think what you're doing is peak. Peak is also a positive word. Do keep up, older listeners. What to do about your lad friends? So you could ask them to stop calling you this word. If you're looking for a way to word it, you could say something like, I don't know, You've been calling me a slut, and obviously you just mean it as banter, but it's kind of peak, so don't. You could also get your lass friends to help you. Lasses do sometimes call other lasses this word too, but if they are excellent friends and interested in feminism and dismantling the patriarchy, then they might be able to support you by sticking up for you and challenging the lads when they use the term. You could also just send the lads here and I'll give them a bollocking for you. Here we go. Hey lads, stop calling your friend a slut. It's sexist, it's insulting, and it's not what good friends do. So do better and buy her a WKD or a Panda Pop or a Curly Whirly to apologise. Maybe the lads don't realise that they shouldn't be using that word. Don't use that word at other people, lads. Maybe the lads are using this word because they have underlying concerns about you, which is still kind of sexist but different. Or they're worried about the relationship they have with you. Maybe they're feeling a bit put out that you're all going clubbing together to have a nice time and that you're pulling people and maybe ignoring them a bit. Even if this was true, they should have said, hey, stop putting dates before mates rather than be mean to you. Anyway, they are being mean, and if they want to be good mates, they would stop calling you this name. Also, banter can be fun, but it's a way that lads are taught how to behave with each other. I think it would be better if they could ditch the banter sometimes and just be real about their feelings and real about how much they value their relationship with you. You shouldn't have to feel like you have to behave like one of the lads in order to be friends with them. I hope you found that useful. For more links, head to my website, bishuk.com. There's a link to this blog post in the description. And until next time, bye!